Say hello to the people. This next fellow probably doesn't need any introduction, but I like making up the little hyperboles we stick in front of his name at every kind of corner. I heard today someone say the architect of DC animated films and TV series. You guys just know him as Bruce Timm.
Yeah! Bruce Timm!
Kevin Smith routine bring fans up too. Fun. So, we're going to start talking about Superman Shazam.
So my wife knows that I really was here.
We're going to show you 3 clips as the program goes on, but I thought we might want to talk about just how this piece came about for starters. How did we settle on a Superman Shazam story to anchor this DVD?
Well, we were talking about doing a longer short to be the anchor of the eventual compilation. We thought, okay, we need to have some character that hasn't been seen a lot in animation, and the home video people wanted us to hopefully team Superman or Batman up with this character for marquee value. And then we were throwing a bunch of different ideas around, and somebody mentioned Captain Marvel. And I thought, well, that's great, because he hasn't been in animation a whole lot lately. And then I got excited when we came up with the idea of actually throwing in Black Adam as the villain of the piece, because he's somebody who hasn't really been seen in animation at all. So it all just kind of gelled at that point, and then we threw it to Mike Jelinek to come up with a story.
Yeah, of course. The tough part about this is Bruce has already done Superman, Shazam, and Justice League. So how do you make it different? Because when you see these 2 characters, the 2 of the strongest characters in the DC universe, you expect them to fight each other. And I know Bruce didn't want to see that. Bruce didn't want to see any of the sort of the gags they've done like a million times. So that was like sort of the big challenge. And this piece, we see them as friends, and they sort of team up against Black Adam. So it's hopefully different than the typical take.
And it's also Billy's origin story, which we didn't do in Justice League. So, and Billy's got one of the great origin stories of comics, so that gives us an opportunity to kind of do it straight up. And the side benefit of that was we got to work with James Garner, which was really, really cool. So, yeah.
Shall we see a clip? The first clip is we've learned Billy is a young man, and he has suddenly, Black Adam has suddenly appeared while he's sitting with a breakfast with Clark Kent, and Black Adam kind of interrupts that, and suddenly Clark disappears. And Mike, can you cue up the clip there? In 37-second taste of a 24-minute short, it gets better. Is this a battle for Billy's soul between good and evil?
Yeah, I'd say that's sort of the theme of this story. It's about power and what you do with power once you get it. Since this is Billy's origin, there's the question, what is he going to do with his power when he's given it? And you have 2 characters. You have Black Adam, who's sort of somebody who's abused power, and then you have Superman, somebody who uses it for other people. And the question is, which way is Billy going to go with that? I mean, the whole Black Adam character sort of is used to demonstrate how easy it is to use power in ways that benefit yourself. So that's the overarching theme, I'd say.
Michael's on stage, so I'm going to force you to pay compliment here one way or the other. We've had some pretty impressive writers on this patch of shorts between Steve Niles, Greg Weisman, Joe Lansdale, Jelinek, yeah, okay. We love Michael's haircut. Who likes Michael's haircut?
Yeah! Woo!
Who doesn't like Michael's haircut?
Yeah! Yeah!
There's 2 people over there you're not dating tonight. So, Bruce, can you just talk to the recruitment and the use of these writers?
Who's your favorite?
Who's our favorite?
I know who it is. He's the guy who keeps insisting.
So, anyhow, so the way we recruited these writers was, it kind of come, we have a weekly conference call with us and Home Video and DC Comics. And when we started, the idea of doing the DC shorts came up, we said, yeah, we're going to get to write them. And we throw a bunch of names out of people that either we've worked with and have had good success with, like Mr. Jelinek here, or other writers that we haven't worked with in a while, but we've had, a lot of fun working with in the past, like Joe Lansdale, who also has written the Jonah Hex character before in the comics, and he's just got a great kind of perfect sensibility for it. Steve Niles kind of came up, I think. Todd Casey mentioned it, because Todd Casey works with us at Warner Bros. Animation, and he used to work at Wizard Magazine, and he got to know Steve through Wizard, and they became good buddies. And so I think Todd actually recommended that we use Steve, and I went, oh yeah, Steve's great. He's a crime drama guy and horror guy. So that's how we got Steve.
And casting, this is a particularly good one. We keep saying it over and over again, but all of us grew up with and love and adore him. So obviously George, we brought back as a reprise of his character. Jerry has been around with us a lot. But James Garner was a particularly wonderful addition.
Yeah, I was in Joaquin DeSantos' office, and we were just kind of throwing out ideas of just different casting ideas, and I think it was Joaquin's idea to use James Garner. I think he's the one who threw his name into the mix. And my first thought was like, yeah. And because I've been a fan of his since I was like really little.
Since the Joe.
Yeah, since Atlantis. So called him up, and he was available and wanted to do it, and he was awesome.
And then he showed up in that Rockford Camaro.
Well, yeah, his license plate on his Camaro says Mad Rock.
And with that, I think we might want to see a clip, Mike, back there of maybe James Garner.
That's sort of the big question when it comes to Captain Marvel. Is he, is this big? Is this a superhero take on big, or is he a fully realized adult character? I think we sort of straddle that line. I mean, there's a sense of him being a new hero, but I think mostly in this he comes off as an adult hero. Would you say that, Bruce?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think it's like he's a kid in a grown-up's body.
You're wrong.
Well, sorry.
That's what I was thinking.
No, okay. It's been a while since he wrote it. He forgot.
It's been a year.
And you were late turning it in. So.
Yeah, I was very late.
Well, the DC Comics original shorts collection will be on DVD November 9th. Sorry, Batman Beyond comes out November 23rd. If you watch the Batman box set, you're going to dig this. But the shorts collection is November 9th, as well as same date as, yes, Mike, we are going to go to a clip in a moment.
One episode then, right?
Same date as Secret Origin, the story of DC Comics, a dynamite documentary. You do want to see that. But in the meantime, let's take a look at Billy Batson all grown up. So Mike, roll that clip, and then we'll start talking about something else in a moment.
Not as adult as you, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Oh!
Yeah.
All right. Looking good? What do you think?
Yeah!
Are you ready for 5 of the 24 minutes? It gets better. It gets even better because coming up next spring, as we call it in Los Angeles because we don't have winter, we will have All-Star Superman coming out. Director Sam Blue, writer Dwayne McDuffie.
Yeah!
Can't tell you the date, but trust me, it's coming.
Aww.
End of February, beginning of March, spring for us in LA. Usually, though, we have summer at the beginning of February. So, production team is DC Entertainment, Warner Home Video, Warner Premiere, and Warner Brothers Animation. As always, I'd be remiss if I did not send a thank you out to Ivan Cohen, who's with DC Comics, out in the audience somewhere. Let's give a little applause for Ivan. It's a pretty monumental piece. Your favorite, I believe.
His favorite after the Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I really like the Wonder Woman movie too, but honestly, and here's the thing. I get too close to these things, so I'm like not the most unbiased audience, but I do think that Superman, All-Star Superman, is the best movie that we've made yet. It's a complete movie. There's anything wrong with Wonder Woman, but I think All-Star Superman is just special. There's something about it. I think part of it is the source material. It's one of my favorite comics of all time. I think what Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley did was kind of look back at the way Superman used to be, like in the early Silver Age, and it's that part of Superman's history that for like 40 years or so, DC Comics kept saying, "Oh no, that's the Superman we don't want. We don't want the Superman with all the weird powers," and Grant kind of looked back on that and said, "No, this is a really cool version of Superman," and he did it in such a way that wasn't like pointing his finger at Superman and going, "Ha ha, wasn't he goofy?" He kind of like took it seriously, but it still is kind of goofy. It's kind of corny in a weird kind of way, but it's not played for camp. He kind of embraces the genuineness of Superman, and he put just enough of a modern spin on it to make it seem fresh, and I just think it's magical. And so that was the feeling that we tried to adapt into the movie. We didn't want to toughen it up or or make it seem more cynical or more relevant or more violent. We kind of wanted to do the comic straight up, and I think we do.
And on that note, I think maybe they want to see the first 5.5 minutes of the film. Stars James Denton as Superman. James Denton, Desperate Housewives, did nothing for you guys. Superman is James Denton. If you met him, you'd say All American every day of the week. Threat Matrix, anybody see that? Christina Hendricks from Mad Men is Lois Lane. Anthony LaPaglia is Lex Luthor there. And we've got an assortment of Ed Asner, Matthew Mugler,
Alexis Denisov.
Get to be proud of.
Yeah.
This is number 10 in the series.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. How has this series evolved, and how is that altering what we do in the future?
I don't know that it has necessarily evolved in any way that was intentional necessarily, because somebody asked this to me earlier. It's like, how do you guys decide which ones we do? And it's kind of random. We don't really have any kind of set formula. We like I said in our weekly conference call, we'll talk about the stuff we have in production. We'll talk about, we're coming up to the point where we need to get a couple things more in development for next year, and what have we done recently, and what should we do different, and are there any comics out there that we could, adapt pretty much straight up. And something like All-Star Superman, that actually came up in conversations years ago. I would say back when we were working on Doomsday, our very first one. And that was a property that came up. At the time, we thought, well, it's really episodic. I don't really know how you condense all that into a movie. And B, at the time, we were really, really pushing, I think, to make sure that these things had like a PG-13, feel to them. We were deliberately trying to make sure that the cartoons were kind of edgy, so that we really separate them from the TV line. If anything, I think maybe we backed off a little bit of kind of like deliberately pushing the adult content quotient and just kind of let the movies do what they need to do. And for instance, in All-Star Superman, we didn't feel any need to make it any darker or grittier than the actual comic source material. Just let it be what it was. And it's kind of